Since the start of the human race, it was always evident that we have aimed at the sky. And with all the technology we have in our hands, time has finally come to a point where we can start sending our people to our neighboring planets in the desperate hope of inhabiting them. And the one planet which is more reachable than any other one orbiting in the solar system is Mars. But it turns out there are a lot of problems we need to keep in mind before we make our way into the red planet. Welcome to the channel. Today we'll talk about when exactly and how will we land on Mars. The beginnings. Since the start of NASA in 1958, it has become the world's largest and most technologically advanced space administration. The Space Exploration Organization, created in response to the Soviet Union's Sputnik 1 satellite, had become something more significant than that. By sending humans to the moon, NASA managed to heat space and the satellite industry. But with its funding, NASA was in a league of its own. Because of the success of the moon landing, NASA was determined more than ever to send humans back to space again. And this time it was Mars. With the Apollo missions being a hit, NASA planned to build multiple space stations, more trips to the moon, and scheduled to send humans to Mars in the 80s. But there was one thing that permanently halted their plans. It was none other than the United States government. With the president changing every 4 years, there was also a change in the budget they received, because not every president was supportive of NASA. Take an example of what happened to NASA under the Nixon administration, when by the end of Nixon's term, the NASA budget went from 4% to down 1%, and the funded missions of Apollo 18, 19 and 20 were cancelled. The focus went from Mars and the Moon to the lower Earth orbit and on the Earth's upper atmosphere. And this cycle continued as there was a cycle in which NASA had a consistent budget under one president, and then the next president came into the scene and burned NASA's plans. But in the 21st century, things were finally looking good with a new constellation program under the presidency of Bush. But because of the project becoming over budget and crossing the schedule, President Obama and his administration abandoned this project, and they now put their focus on Mars. Because of the new and fresh budget they are getting under Obama, NASA was on track to send humans to Mars in early 2030. But all of NASA's plans changed again as Trump stated a moon first, Mars second plan and order to NASA. And this made everyone think that this plan to land on Mars would never happen. There were some new kids in the town. Enter Elon Musk and SpaceX. With the privately funded and owned space administrations gaining more and more popularity from the public, it's no surprise that companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin are making some big moves toward the race to reach Mars. And after all of the years of anticipation, the chance of privately owned space companies sending humans to Mars seems more and more likely. And why not? Because NASA is also maintaining a close relationship with SpaceX. Elon Musk is growing more confident than ever as he bets that SpaceX will send humans to Mars by 2030. Living on the red planet. While we've talked about sending humans to Mars, the conditions which they have to live under are not talked about enough. Mars is a lifeless red planet, and its atmosphere being 95% carbon dioxide, and the first thing we need to figure out is how we'll produce oxygen. The logistics of bringing oxygen to Mars from Earth will be very costly, so we will need to find a way to make in-house oxygen. And machines like NASA's MOXIE are precisely what we'll need to do that. As the MOXIE was successful in the generation of oxygen worth 5 minutes of human life, and that is not enough to keep you alive because there is no fertile soil on the surface of Mars. So you will need hydroponics to grow your food. And even though we can send a group or a bunch of humans to space, it will be a process of centuries to make the planet livable again. This included extracting ammonia ice from different planets' atmospheres, which would help heat Mars up in the North Pole. The heat would convert the dry ice into gas, giving the planet an atmosphere. This would return the atmospheric pressure to the planet's atmosphere. The water can be extracted from the water ice locked in Mars' surface, after which there will be water vapors that will make the atmosphere thicker, and if we estimate, it will take a minimum of 1,000 years for Mars to have enough oxygen for humans to breathe. As long as it may look, as we are sure that humans will step onto Mars by the 2030s, and revolutionary advancements will speed the process. Alright guys, that's a wrap for this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel for more videos just like this. See you guys next time.